Welcome back to another episode of the Book Lovers Club. And y'all, this is a special episode because I am not here by myself today. I am joined by one of my favorite authors, L.M. Bennett. And I'm just so glad that you came on my podcast and that you're here with me.
Again, thank you for having me. I'm Ellen Bennett. I am a author of Black Sapphic fiction. I currently live in the DMV. I'm a New York, New Jersey transplant. I'm 45. I have two cats, one of which has been super needy all afternoon long. So if you just hear meow randomly, that's him. I'm married. There's just so many things I like doing. I love randomness. I love true crime. I love watching messy reality shows. I just like a lot of things.
I'm just very grateful that you are just this voice in the Black Sapphic space because your books have really helped me feel seen. And hearing that you're 45 just gave me tingles because I just love that there's visibility in the space of women that are older. I just turned 40, so like that's just really inspiring. When did you first start writing books?
Oh gosh. I remember writing short stories as a
Mhm.
child. They were bad. And I usually used to force my great grandmother to listen to me read them out loud, which I'm sure she found some enjoyment from that. But I've been writing short stories since I was a child. I remember having like a literally a book, like
Mhm.
in one of those composer notebooks, and I was just passing it around to my classmates. And then when they were done, they would pass it to the next person, the next person, the next person. So that's kind of where that started.
So you have a new book that just dropped, The Chef's Christmas Charade. Can
Yes.
you tell us a little bit more about that book and what we can expect from it?
Oh gosh. So when I first came up with the book, I kind of imagined it to be kind of like a little slapstick kind of thing, like that one crazy scene in Coming to America that I love when Daryl keeps coming to the door
Mhm.
and Semi is there and Hakeem is there, and then the dad keeps closing the door in Daryl's face. That was how I originally like imagined it, and I felt like I got some moments like that, but then like it just turned into unwittingly, I would say, like turned into social commentary because
Mm.
there is a particular situation that Rhodes is in, and based on what the world is doing right now, there's a lot of people that are very close to being in that same situation with all of the mess that's been happening recently. So I was like, I can try to keep it as light as possible, or at least to make sure that she can sometimes laugh about her situation and still maintain some sort of dignity about herself, even as she's making choices that are not sometimes the best choices. Let's just put it that way. But she's one of my favorite characters. She's so funny. And a lot of the characters in the book, she just kind of bounces off of them. And I just love that story so much.
I love that. I love Christmas romances, and you're not a stranger to writing a Christmas romance or holiday romance because I've
Mm-mm.
read a couple of yours. Why holiday sapphic romances? Why do you think it's important for us to have stories like this?
Well, I think it's not only important for us to have stories like this, I think it's of the utmost importance for us to be telling stories like
Yes.
this about our people, us as queer women, like getting to see us in these different situations that usually, you have the Hallmark heroines find themselves in, to show that like maybe things could be a little messy, or things can be a little slapstick, but there's still joy and there's still
Mhm.
love at the end of all of that.
I always talk about the importance of us having happily ever afters.
Mhm.
And just to imagine and believe that you're deserving of a happily ever after.
Mhm.
And I just love your books. Like, I just finished 2 of your books in your Competing Desires series. So I
Mhm.
read Tap Out, and then I just read, Pit Stop. These books need to be on the screen. I just feel like we are lacking in stories that, like you mentioned, that are written by us, for us, and I just really wish we can get stories like yours in the movies. When you're writing, do you see these stories being on the screen? Because I'm telling you, that's how it feels when I'm reading it, like it's a movie.
Alright, and I can admit to that because one of the big things that I was interested in, like, when I was trying to still figure out, like, what type of writer I wanted to be, I did study screenwriting.
Wow.
So, that could probably account for some of the cinematic feel that some of the scenes have, plus me on top of that being, like, a visual person. Like, if I'm, on my day job, because I have a day job, if
Mhm.
I'm stumped, I will literally whip out a piece of paper and a pen and start drawing things until it makes sense to me. Or
Wow.
I will, circle something and just start taking notes until I can see it happening in my mind, and when I stop being able to see it happen in my mind, that's when I get tripped up. So, you may be seeing the cinematic scenes because that's how I see them when they play up here.
That really makes sense, that training that you have as a screenwriter and how that translates in your book, because you write with so many metaphors and it's just so descriptive and it really paints a picture. And I just love that about your books. Love that. When you're writing stories like this, like how much research do you go like are you already a NASCAR fan or did you have to do a lot of research? Cuz I felt like I was there.
I'm a new F1 fan,
Okay.
and I would say, like, this is my 2nd, maybe full year of being into F1. I started, like, doing research for F1 for Pit Stop, and then I ended up just getting sucked in. There are a lot
Mm,
of people that watch Drive to Survive, and then that's how they get sucked into F1, but I was the opposite. Like, and in fact, I wouldn't even allow myself to watch Drive to Survive until after Pit Stop was done. So I started, like, staying up late to watch races or getting up early. Like, I even during my honeymoon, like, in Honolulu, it's 3 AM and I
wow.
have an alarm set because F1 was on. So I would just, like, kinda get up and run to the other room and watch F1 in my headphones. And I'm going to Las Vegas Grand Prix this year, like, in a couple of
Mhm.
weeks. So, it's so addictive,
Wow.
and once you start to hear the different stories of the drivers, like, people like Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, even, people like Yuki Tsunoda, and all of these different or my favorites, Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly, and we'll have to talk about that off camera.
Okay.
But, like, hearing the different stories of these different drivers, like, it kind of got things going in addition to, like, having to learn the technical parts of the sport that I'm not a gearhead. I know nothing about cars, so it was kind of like a me having to go in there
Mhm.
and take notes and watch and learn and watch videos. I watched so many videos,
Wow.
on YouTube, just people talking about, like, past races, past rivalries. F1 is big on
Wow.
rivalries, which is why that was, like,
Mhm.
the core of that book, that rivalry, because it's not only a part of the sport, it's encouraged.
Yeah. Look, thank you for your service, okay? The effort that you put in, you can really tell. You had me Googling things just so I could visualize it, and I felt like I learned something reading that book. So, the series is great. That's my favorite so far, though. Like, oh my God. I just wanted to give you props when I saw you.
Thank
Like,
you.
you did your big one with that book. So, how do you juggle all of this and a full time job?
I take breaks,
Okay.
like mandatory breaks. If I don't
Mm,
take breaks, I'm just going nuts. And I have a wife that also says, okay, I don't know what the hell you think you're doing, but you're getting out of the house. We're going to brunch. We're going to this concert. You are not going to be sitting in front of the computer all the time, all the days, all the nights
mhm.
working. So I take breaks. I read, I watch television, I listen to music, I make sure that I get out the house occasionally just to give myself a reset. I mean, I try to make sure that I have one project that I'm writing, another project in editing, but after a while, that does start to grind on you just a little bit. So
Yeah.
I do make sure I take breaks.
Yeah, self-care is everything, And the attention to detail that you put in your books and just like the effort, you can really feel that. And you started writing when you were young. So,
Mhm.
how would you say that you've evolved from the very first piece of work that you published to now?
I take a lot of craft courses.
Mm,
Like, my first book, like, that's kind of when you have a great idea and you think that you're going to write something that really changes things, and you still don't know how to cut your teeth yet as a writer, so you make a lot of mistakes. And I was starting to see, like, "Oh my gosh, I really, really made a lot of mistakes with this one, and I need to go back to the drawing board." So I literally, like I said, I took the screenwriting class. I took a class on, deep POV. I took a class in learning how to, write romance, how to, craft plots, and that's something that I still do. So,
mm.
with every book that comes out, like, there's usually some sort of evolution or some new trick that I've learned by watching people who are masters at this do it, or reading books. Like, Tasha Harrison has a series of really good books about crafting romance, and then uh, Donald Moss has some books about character. So I'm constantly reading these things and trying to figure out the best way to tell different stories.
I love that. Like, you really put it in the work. And it is a reflection. That's why I'm just so glad that you were able to come on here because I need more people to read your books because they're so good. The enemies to lovers trope and how you write yearning. Oh, chef's kiss. I love that. I love a slow burn and it delivers every single time for me. And how we got connected, I read your other book, The Art of Going Rogue.
Mhm.
And oh, Clay. Clay had pissed me off so bad. But, I like books that make me feel something, that make me get, either excited, angry. I want to throw the book because that's a sign of like really good writing that you're able to evoke that kind of emotion in your readers. But I just love how you connect with your supporters and your fans and, you come on our posts and you engage with us. Is that something you've always done throughout your career, connecting with fans, or is that something you're getting more into now? But I'm grateful. I'm just curious. Is this something you've always been doing?
And yeah, and it's something that I enjoy doing. Like,
Mm,
before I was, like, even writing a genre of romance or the type of fiction that I, write now, I wrote nonfiction. And I remember, like, one of the first conversations, even though I asked my family member to please not read my book because it was a bunch of stories about me, myself, and
mhm.
I, and, different dating situations that I had been in. So there were some things there that were not appropriate for family members to hear about. Not that they care. Um, and one of my aunts called me. She was like, "Oh my God. Oh my God." She says, "I read the book." And then we just had a conversation about like different situations that we had been in, with different people that we had dated. And I found myself connecting to her in a way that I had not done before. And that is something that I enjoy doing with my fans now. Hearing, well, I've really felt seen. There are a lot of people that come to me, and it's very interesting because you know how some people like to self-insert in stories. I don't
Mhm.
write my books so that people can self-insert, but when someone comes to me and they said, "I felt so seen in that story," I love it. I love
Yeah.
it.
That's a skill. The fact that you've put in so much work to develop your skill, it really does translate in your writing. It really does. I just want to give you props. I'm very
Thank you.
grateful because I love to read and finding stories that we can connect to and the representation. Tap out with the MMA fighter. That was phenomenal too. That one had
Thank you.
me I was Googling some of the moves that you described in the book. I'm like, "So is she an MMA fighter too?" You
No. So I was thinking about that earlier today, and, I was like, "I know she's gonna ask me about tap out and, like, all of the research," and there was a lot of research that was involved in that. I did have to watch a lot of videos, and these are, like, dry videos of jujitsu experts like explaining different moves and what happens when you do this and what you should be thinking and how you should move when you have someone in a hold. And so I was taking that information and pretty much like taking notes on it, putting that information into the story. But I've actually been an MMA fan for like 10 or 11 years.
Wow, that's impressive. I could tell. This felt like you knew what you were talking about. I could tell. So, with you having a background writing nonfiction, how much of your books now are you pulling from previous relationships or past experiences? Are you infusing any of your real life into the characters or any
Yeah.
characters based off people you know?
Yeah. I really do. But what I do is I put some things in a blender
Mm,
just to maintain, some sort of sense of privacy. Because I'm a very private person. And I say that, of course, having been someone who wrote a book about their dating experiences. So take that however you will. But I do find that I may not take stories wholesale, but I may take a moment or I may take something that was said or something that stuck with me and maybe riff off of that for a while. And that's how I keep my characters and my scenes emotionally honest
mm,
because I've experienced that and I understand what it would be like to be in that sort of situation, even if this person's situation is different. Sometimes the outcome is different. Like the story that Nova told Grayson at the dinner with her punching that girl. I didn't
yes.
punch the girl in real life. I should have, but I didn't. Um, so I take sometimes situations from my life, but I do put them in a blender just to be able to hit on how this feels emotionally wise, but to not rip entire chapters of my life wholesale. That I'll
That's
never
real.
do again.
Yeah, especially now too. I feel like with social media and just how everybody wants so much access to people in their lives, you really do have to have some boundaries and, keep parts of yourself just for you.
For that reason, I've never posted my wife on Instagram or on Threads. That's a boundary that I don't cross, and that's
Mhm.
something that we both believe very strongly in.
Yeah, that's real. My wife, I had her on the podcast for a couple of episodes and she's like, "I don't really I don't wanna do that. That's you." She's like, "I'm cool being in the background supporting you, but that's your thing." So, like, I understand. I tried to push her out there with me. She said, "No, I'm cool."
Some
So,
people don't
yeah.
like the spotlight. I don't even like the
Mm-mm.
spotlight. I gotta keep it a buck. I don't even like the spotlight. So when someone says I don't want to be in front of everything, I'm like, girl, I get it. I get it.
I empathize. I struggle with attention. It's just I have a lot of creative hobbies that sometimes will put me in the forefront, so I've had to work through that, but my heart just goes out to creators, authors, people who are sharing their art online because it's just like open season, I feel like, with the criticism and people wanting to, like, really influence how you tell your stories and how you share your art, and it does take a lot of bravery to put your work out there how you want to, like centering your voice and your creativity and telling the story your way. I just give you props for that because it does take a lot of bravery.
I do. It does take a lot of bravery. One thing that I've stopped doing is like reading my reviews
Mm.
because people can be pretty cruel. Sometimes you'll have people who even though they think that they're giving like a positive review, they start out with, "This annoyed me." And I'm like, well, great. I mean, I'm glad it annoyed you. Why are you telling me this? Like, if you didn't like this part, keep that between you and your followers. But sometimes people can be just a little bit too honest or people that think that if they express an opinion to you that that's somehow going to change what they just read and it's not because it's published. And I say this often, especially with newer writers that are like really struggling to bridge the gap between what they want to write and what the market wants them to write. And I say straight on, we're writers and we do not write by committee.
Yes.
You have to write what feels good and what feels honest to you, but you also have to find a way to market that well. so that people know what it is that they're getting. And yes, you may have 5 people that read that and go, "Yes, this is exactly what I want." And then you'll have 2 people who are like, "Nah, that's not what I want." And I'm like, "That's fine for that those 2 people go elsewhere because those are 2 people who are going to find the type of books that they want to read, and you have these 5 cool people here who love what you write and want you to write more."
Exactly. It's all about finding the people who are your true fans. Everything won't appeal to everyone, and you just have to find the people that really do love what you're putting out and lean into that community. I've been talking a lot about just how what someone else may hate, another person may love. We won't all like the same things, but you can dislike things respectfully. I think sometimes people forget that you all are human and have feelings too. You're not AI, you're not bots, and it's okay to not like the art that someone shares, but it's a way to do that. Tagging authors and negative reviews and things like that, I just don't agree with that. So I'm all for you all doing what you need to do to protect yourself in this landscape that we're navigating in this new book space.
And if I could just take it back to what one person loves, another person hates,
Mhm.
I remember and I told myself I wasn't going to, but I read reviews for Tap Out. And you had some people who were just like, "I loved Nova and Grayson was insufferable." And then you had other people who were like, "Grayson is my girl, but I couldn't stand Nova." And I'm like, "Okay." Like, what exactly do you want me to do with that? I'm glad that you expressed that to yourself, but if anything, that just shows that reading is subjective, reviews are
Yes.
subjective, and therefore reviews are for readers.
Yes, yes, I agree. One of my favorite things to do is books that I love, I do go and read the negative reviews because they're laughable. Because I'm like, I love this book so much. How did y'all take this away from the book? But it always reminds me that as long as I like something, that's what matters to me. And I don't let the reviews influence whether or not I read a book. I'm still going to do my own research and see for myself.
And sometimes, and a lot of people don't understand this, that sometimes a well timed 1-star review can really be what makes people go to that book. And I use this as an example. One of my all time top 10 favorite books is Yellowface by R.F. Kuang.
Mhm.
And if you saw the reviews there, that they're split. You have people who is just like, "Oh my god, this is the best book since ever," 5 stars, and then you have other people that are writing this long dissertation about why they hated the character, why they hated the story, why it was problematic. And so when I went in and I started looking at the 1-star reviews, I was like, "Oh, I'm reading the hell out of this book."
Yes.
And again, it
Mhm.
turned out to be one of my favorite books ever because she's so supremely talented. It's nuts.
Yes. This girl that I follow, she made a review about a book and how much she hated a character. I went and bought it that day. I said, "You know what? You wrote this whole dissertation about how much you hated this character." I'm like, "I kind of want to read it now." So you're right. Like for some of us, that does make us want to read it. And I want to form my own opinion to see if I agree with you. Did I take away what you took away and what, resonated with me? But to go back to the book that you just released, the Chef's Christmas Charade. You just released this. So,
Mhm.
how is it like on release day? We're talking about reviews and people's opinions. Do you have a lot of anxiety when you first drop a book? Walk me through your feelings when you press publish and the book's out there.
Well, I've been doing this since 2018. So, like, the way that I felt about pressing publish back in 2018 is not how I feel about that now. Like, now I can press publish and then be like, "Oh, good. I'm gonna get up and get myself a glass of wine or something like that." Or I can literally work a full shift on release day and not think of anything because I have, well, one, I have systems in place so that I'm able to post online or I'm able to post to my mailing list. Like the whole thing now is kind of automated. So maybe when I'm feeling a little bit braver at the end of the day, then I can go check and see how things are going. but it's a process. And
Mm.
the first time you do something that is terrifying, it's terrifying. But after the fifth time you've done it, after the sixth time you've done it, after the 10th time you've done it, it doesn't feel the same.
So, your new book, The Chef's Christmas Charade, is going to be my book pick for December. So, I will
Yay.
be reading this book and talking about it on air with my listeners and with members of my book club. And I'm really excited to read it. I love Christmas romances. I read a lot of Christmas romance books mainly because I feel like the representation in the movies is lacking with queer relationships. So, I get what I need from the books. So, your books, I'm just so grateful that you're writing holiday romances because there's a huge population of us who love them. So I'm really excited to get into it. Is there a scene in the book that you're like really excited for readers to get to and to read and experience?
I don't know if excited is the right word.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things where I kind of said that I was unintentionally writing social commentary based on what's going on in the world right now. But there is this one scene where Rhodes enters a cafe and she's there to, do her pickup delivery. And she sees that there's like a little place for drivers to just kind of take food that they need.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Oh, man." I said, "I just punched myself in the chest with this." I was like, "I don't know how I did that, but I just punched myself in the chest with that." And it was just one of those moments. I was like, "Oh, man." I was like, "But I can't leave this out."
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was like, "All I can do is just make sure that Rhodes gets to be very, very, very happy in the end."
I'm excited now. I'm not a stranger. I'll slide in your DMs and like, look, I read this part. And I see what you mean. Okay. I'm really excited for this. So, is Christmas one of the holidays that you really like? Because you've written a few Christmas romances. Is this like a holiday you like writing about?
It is, but my personal favorite holiday, and not a lot of people know this about me, but my personal favorite holiday is actually Halloween.
Good choice. I love Halloween. So, are we expecting some Halloween books, some more like holiday romances centered around Halloween in the future? Some spooky season reads?
I was thinking about one. Like, I have an eye towards what I might want to do, but I don't know if I have the courage to do it yet.
Okay.
So that's something that I'm going to think of. And even if I did, that's probably not something I'm going to touch until like 2027 anyway.
Understood. Understood. I saw you had a milestone. So your other book that you dropped this year, You Were Almost Home, had 50,000 pages read. How did you feel about that? That's a huge accomplishment too.
It was a huge accomplishment because it happened in such a short period of
Yes.
time. It's not the first book that I've had past 50,000. I have books that have passed 100,000 and 60,000, but it took a much longer amount of time for it to reach that number. So seeing it happen in like 3 months, I was just like,
I'm not surprised, honestly. Do you think social media has helped?
yeah, social media. Sometimes it's mailing lists. Sometimes it's being a bit crafty about the types of promotions that you do.
Mm,
There's like a whole other part of, learning to publish in which you learn to use free promotions and paid promotions and how to speak about books in your backlist that may be related and to use series, which I'm not going to get into because it's kind of dry and it's kind of boring. But it just kind of showed me that everything that I've been learning about that was actually correct.
do you have any books that's like your favorite out of all the ones that you've written?
Well, one of my favorite books, which we haven't mentioned yet, is Bad Beat.
That's up next. I started that the other day.
Bad Beat is one of my favorites because I took a risk with those characters, Mary being as rude as she is and as nasty and arrogant as she is. I knew that there would be people that would be turned off by that, but I'm also love poker. Like I was one of those people who got into the poker boom about like 25 years ago after
Mm.
watching the World Series of Poker. So I've played a number of hands of poker, and Like, I literally have it on my Substack where I was just, like, kind of drawing out hands that I actually turned around and put into the book. So, having Miri be that type of character and having Jax be that type of character that she is, and them having problems with each other that were interpersonal problems, but they're also structural problems as well. Because Miri kind of resented Jax because she is more masculine. So she felt like Jax was more easily accepted by the men in poker, whereas she felt like she was the better player, but she was also kind of like tall and buxom and didn't hesitate to use her sexuality to influence the way everybody else responded to her at the table. But the problem with that is that these people didn't respect her even as she was
Mhm.
cleaning them out. So I really liked to explore the different issues that involve them being women in poker. So that to me, that makes it one of my favorite books.
I think the reason why your books are just so great is because I can tell you really did a lot of research, and these books are connected to things that you're actually passionate about and infusing things from your personal life. And it just really translates well on the page. Even the screenwriting background and how the books read like movies. I just am very like in awe of the work that you've put in to develop your craft and put out these stories that we really need. Like, this is representation that we really need. So, I am just very excited to see what you continue to do and how you continue to evolve as an author. Black Sapphic stories help me navigate coming out. These stories are very important. So, before we head out, we're talking about Christmas books. So, I'm going to ask you some questions about Christmas. So, you mentioned that you love movies and things like that. What's one of your favorite Christmas movies or a favorite Christmas song, things that you really every season have to listen to and watch to get you in the Christmas spirit?
I would say that one of my earlier favorite Christmas movies, which is no longer one of my favorite Christmas movies, is Love Actually.
Same.
Because I'm just like, he's literally standing outside holding up cards and he's trying to woo his homeboy's wife. That's not cool.
What's crazy is how many of us loved that scene. It's like when I rewatched it as an adult, I'm like, man, this is so toxic.
So now
Yeah.
I go with the most least toxic holiday movie I can find, which is Die Hard.
You know, Die Hard is very much a Christmas movie.
Yes, it is.
Very much a Christmas movie. Good choice. Good choice. Okay, you have good taste. You know, Love Actually would have been mine, but it's just so problematic now. So problematic. I would be mad as hell if one of my friends did that to my wife. Oh, we're gonna anyway,
I'm
it's a
coming
problem.
downstairs. That's all I'm saying.
Okay?
Okay,
And then kissed him. I ju It's so problematic.
girl.
It was the kiss for me. Like,
Mhm.
anyway, enough about that movie. Okay, well, where can readers find you and to learn more about your work?
I have threads and I just kind of put random stuff up there. I'm on Instagram and I put random stuff up there as well, mostly in the stories. And sometimes I put my writerly thoughts in Substack, but like my home where I post all of the good stuff is at my Patreon. And I have coming in 2026, which is why I said I don't want to do anything else until 2027. 2026, I'm going to have a Patreon exclusive serial.
Oh, yes, please. Okay, I'm excited. Anything that you write, I am reading.
I think that you would love this one too because it's enemies to lovers and it is about, let's just say, two musicians who spend a lot of time thinking about each other.
Ooh. You know, I love when artists fall in love. Come on, because 'cause they're muses, and that affection, all that love and passion pours into the art, and it's beautiful. I love it. I appreciate you. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
writing amazing stories and coming on here to talk to me and for the good vibes and the energy. I hope you have a great, great, great debut with this new book, and just thank you for sharing these stories, and I look forward to reading more of your work.
Thank you for having me on. You just pour into me. I just feel great right now. Thank you.